Hello,
Eleanor here
Trevor here.
from Topocata animation studio based in Hertford, UK, and we specialise in our own style of animation, which is using paper cutout and motion capture.
Yes, and this is for all you creative types out there, maybe working in a small studio, maybe a small home studio, who might be interested in finding out a little bit about sort of tips and tricks we've got from our sort of professional working life.
Yes, yeah, the challenges and the triumphs and the tribulations.
And the
We've done lots of
disasters.
teaser, yeah.
So, what are we talking about today, Eleanor?
So today we're going to be talking about the program that is called Blender. The computer program called Blender.
Blender 3D.
Yes.
So
which is pretty key to our process.
It is pretty key to our process. It's sort of fundamental, isn't it? I'm not sure where we'd be if we hadn't found Blender.
Yeah, so the timing
Was
for
perfect.
this coming about was pretty brilliant. Yeah.
It was pretty good. I think we've been quite lucky with the timing
On a
for
lot
a lot
of
of the
things.
software.
Yes, yeah.
Just sort of coming around at the right sort of time and at the right sort of development level.
Yeah.
But shall we explain a little bit about what Blender is?
Yes, you go.
Okay, I'll go. So Blender is 3D software, and that's at a very basic level. It can do lots more than that, but just to explain that 3D software, a lot of people know about it. If you've seen a Pixar movie, you know that it's obviously created by a computer, and computers are getting more and more advanced to the level that now you can create at least short 3D movies on your own computer at home.
Yes.
And they can be pretty much Pixar quality. So the latest Pixar movies quality. And Blender is getting pretty much to that stage, if not already at that stage. It's been a long journey, particularly from the point where we started using it back in 2014, 15 or something.
Yes, I think, yeah, that's right.
And it wasn't really at the same level as a lot of the professional bits of software that you could get.
The now competition, basically.
Yeah, which now it's sort of punching above its weight or at its weight amongst all the other heavy hitters. If I could keep using the boxing analogy. And yeah, I think we were lucky because I think it's a very intuitive bit of software. And if you are new to 3D in any shape or form or have been enticed to give it a try, then Blender's a very good direction to go in.
Yes. To start in and to continue, because it's just really extensive. It's way more extensive than what we particularly use it for.
Yes. As with lots of software, we just use our own little corner of it. But it does have so many tools, so many areas that you can use to do various things. I mean, obviously it does the animation, but you can do editing, you can do
visualization,
tracking, you can do visual effects in it. It's even got the ability to do 2D drawings in 3D space and combining 2D imagery and 2D painting, if you like, with 3D imagery. So you might want to use it for creating models for 3D printing, or you might want to just, for visualization of a product, creating it in 3D so you can light it perfectly as you want to without using photography.
Yeah.
There's so many uses for it. You kind of have to find your own angle on it. And we'll put a link to Blender, obviously, in the description so you can go and have a look and see if it's something that you might be interested in.
Yes. Well, that's the next stage as well, isn't it, basically, because there's so many videos out there to be able to teach yourself, as well as I think they do have a school, which we'll go on to later.
Yes.
But,
that was a massive plus for us. We did look at lots of different types of software, 3D software. When we knew that we were going to have to use 3D, we looked at programs such as Maya, Houdini, Cinema 4D, and Unreal. And they all had their quirks. And a lot of them, especially things like Maya and Houdini, which were industry standard 3D bits of software,
yes,
they're very expensive, very exclusive. A lot of the big studios are using them, but a lot of big studios are paying big studio prices for them.
and that's
that puts
ongoing,
it out of reach.
Ongoing pricing
and
as well.
ongoing prices, yes, the old subscription thing,
yes,
our bugbear. And so it's very difficult for a small studio to get into using it. And there not being so much of a community around it as well. Blender had this wonderful community around it that were doing YouTube videos that you could find out if you were ever stuck how to do something. You could go online and find a video about it, because there was a massive community all excited about it, because essentially it's free.
Yes, yeah. So the one that's quite well known is a Blender Guru guy, isn't it? With the learning
the YouTube videos, yeah.
Yeah. How to make a donut.
It's Andrew Price, yeah. He's got a very good tutorial, which just basically tells you how to make a donut. It has
with all the
basic
and
modelling,
everything else, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's very good, very clear, very concise, and just takes you through the process. So that's a very good place to start if you're into creating 3D models. I mean, we use it in a very different way, and it's because Blender's so adaptable that we've been able to do that. Ours looks like paper cutouts.
So it's 2.5D, basically, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
you can call it 2.5D, yeah.
Yeah, so it's 2D cutouts, essentially,
yes.
but in the computer, in 3D space.
Yes.
So we will put a link into we've got a very short video of behind the scenes, like turning around, so you can actually see the scene kind of break apart and see what's happening.
Yes.
That's quite interesting, I think.
It is, yeah.
So,
you're sort of seeing behind the models and how it all works. So, yeah, it's a fantastic thing for us. Blender is free, and although, it's of industry standard now, people are kind of saying, well, why is it free? It's a model that people really don't not warm to, but people don't quite understand.
They don't understand, but I mean, if there was more of this model in the world, it'd be a much better place, basically.
It would be.
The guy who started it, who we'll also talk about later, is just fantastic.
It makes sense why it is once you know the guy behind it. But yes, because it's free and it's open source, that has made it something that's very good for small studios, because it's got a really burgeoning future and you've got a thriving community around it.
And it's really solid as well.
It's very solid. There's nothing highbrow about it as well, which is quite nice if you're a small studio. And yes, it is solid and robust and brilliant. And although there is a learning curve, I wouldn't say that it's as steep as some of the other bits of software.
Yes, and this is where I come in.
Yes.
Because my background is not in computer programs or doing anything particularly computer-like.
No.
It's very much in the 3D real world. So to then... The real world. If I'm trying a 2D program, I find it very difficult. It doesn't make sense so much to the way my brain works. But working in Blender, even on the level I was working in, actually, it did make sense. And, everything seemed intuitive because I was expecting that to happen.
Yes.
Because that is what happens in real life. So they're trying to emulate real life, and that makes sense to me. So
if anyone's daunted by the thought of working in 3D, I wouldn't be so put off, because the way everything's set up is almost like being in a virtual photographic studio or a virtual film set. You have a camera that you can set what sort of focal length and all sorts of things on that. Yeah. You can place your lights and decide whether it's a spotlight or just a point light or whatever it is. So they use real world terms.
And you have different scenes.
You have different scenes, exactly. Yeah. So, and you lay out your objects in that scene, and then, I'm going to make it sound a bit easier than it is, but you press go and it then what it calls renders it.
It's not that easy at all. But so you do
The way you've
need
lit it and
knowledge.
the way you place the camera.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it shouldn't be. People shouldn't necessarily be put off by that, and you can learn at your own pace. I think it's very often people get overwhelmed because they take on too much when they start learning it. You should just really learn a small section of it and get used to that before you move on.
That's actually going to get you nearer to where you want to go. Not do something because there's a video about it.
No.
If it's not actually going to be useful to you.
Yes,
to
exactly.
You in the end.
You want it to apply to what you want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's free because it's all under the Blender Foundation. It was started by a guy called Ton Roosendaal.
Dutch.
I'm sorry, Ton, if I've said that wrong. Yeah, he's Dutch. And they have an office in Amsterdam.
Yes.
And it's the ethos behind it is incredible, really. He started out in industrial design.
Yeah, I think he was trained in industrial design.
He got more interested in the actual computers they were using to design stuff.
Yeah. And he is a very creative person.
Yes.
And he likes making stuff.
He does, yes.
So that's where the interest lies.
That's where his enthusiasm comes from. Yeah, he wants to see stuff built and adapted and see how it grows.
And so he kind of combining programmers with artists.
Yes.
In a way that I don't think other studios were doing.
No.
They may be now.
No.
But definitely, because obviously the artists know what they want to happen, or they know what they need to make possible.
Yes.
And so the programs are there going, oh, right, okay. So it's not necessarily always directed that way, but
no, but
the combination of those two disciplines.
Yeah,
really...
there's definitely the force of the public driving its direction, which is fantastic. And so the whole company journey of Blender is really interesting. Early on, he was interested in the software. He developed the software and got to a stage where lots of people were very interested in buying it from him or investing. And eventually, I think he got like over $5 million.
I think it's a lot of money. Yeah,
$1 investment, and I think he sort of blew through that pretty quick
by employing people and stuff like that.
Yeah, but, I mean, I think he admits himself that they were a bit extravagant.
Yeah.
We'll place a link to a video about it actually because it is quite amusing.
I think to see the guy himself and explain it himself, is just enlightening. Really,
it's enlightening and really
fantastic.
refreshing.
Yeah,
but then it gets to a situation where things didn't necessarily develop as they wanted to, and the investors started to sort of want to close it down. And of course, the investors at that point, they pretty much own the whole bit of software. So he had to then find the funds to buy it off them.
Buy it back, yeah.
To buy it back. And he set up almost like a Kickstarter. Before there was a Kickstarter.
Yeah, before Kickstarter.
I mean, this guy seems to be first for everything, really. He's so interested in doing things that other people aren't doing.
Yeah.
Because they're fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was lots
an interesting business ethic.
It's boring.
Yeah. He's decided how fun he wants his company journey to be, what he wants from it. Obviously, things have to be funded and things have to move forward. And that's by donations and investment and just the community as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so it was the community that he brought together to
Yes.
buy back from the investors.
Initially, yes, to get the software
so
purchased. But the ongoing costs are, they have a shop where they sell the models that you can use in 3D and various other little goodies. They
have an event, a yearly event, don't they?
Yes,
sell
that's
tickets
it.
to.
Yeah, they have the
have
Blender
models.
Studio, which is the sort of academy where people can pay per month to be taught Blender.
But the Blender itself, because it was bought by the community, it's then sort of packaged up into Blender Foundation, and and within that license, it's said within legal speak that it always has to be free.
Yes.
Because it was bought by the community.
Yeah.
So that's that's kind of all wrapped up and safe and all legal, and that's kept. And then the Blender Institute is what he sort of started as the vehicle of facilitating that, you know, like all the offices and the suites for training. They do loads of training. So another sort of income source. So all of the stuff around supporting the Blender Foundation is the Blender Institute.
Yeah. And we'll post another little link, actually, because a video of Ton showing everyone around.
It was a tour, wasn't it?
The tour of the Blender Institute. And it's fantastic. Basically, he's got it to the level that it looks like he's got it to the level he wants it, you know. So it's still fun. There's people still making stuff in real world as well.
Yeah,
There's a room where people are actually making proper models.
Yeah.
Things like that. So he's, you know, you can see his enthusiasm is just so linked to the way that this business has been developed.
It looks like a fantastic place to work.
Yes, it does.
And sort of very exciting and could move quickly in different directions.
Yes.
He's not kind of frightened by having money or not having money. He seems to see it, you know, he sees it as the tool to be able to make stuff.
Yes.
So, and that's like really healthy way of looking at it.
And he has some big supporters now, like financial supporters.
Yes, yeah.
So, and people that are buying into the silver donations and gold donations.
So there's different levels of being able to
and things like that.
Put
and
money
it's
into.
thriving. It's fantastic. So we're really happy that we found it.
Yeah.
We kind of just want to share that as well, make sure other people just have a little look. If you've ever been interested in that area, just take a look. It's free to download and give it a try.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I'd recommend it. And I don't recommend many computer programs.
We're not being sponsored by Blender, are we?
No. It's just sharing something that might actually help other people out there. Yeah.
The spirit of the community, Blender community.
Yeah.
So I think has that sort of covered everything?
Yeah, I think so. But do put your comments in if there's anything you'd like to add. Or
Absolutely. I'll put the usual link to this in the blog, and obviously, where you can make comments. And we're on YouTube as well. So
yes, so please do follow us or check out the other podcasts.
And we're always happy to have people on our mailing list. I'll post a link for that as well. I think that sort of covers it, does it?
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Well, that's brilliant. Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
I hope you get to check it out. And we'll
make some stuff.
We'll see you next week.
Okay, yep. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.